Hi, welcome to Slick Willy Fly. So yesterday, I didn't really have a plan. I just sat at my vise and decided to make a stream where I got excited because one of my closest friends, firstborn, is now getting into fly fishing. And I just got excited and wanted to make him a fly. So I came up with a fly yesterday and let's get into the video. Here we go. Hi, welcome to Slick Willy Fly. And today what we're going to do is we're going to do a nice big fat streamer for saltwater inshore fishing. So what I've got is a size 2.0 hook, and I put a little bit of lead thread on and I used a little super glue, and I did that ahead of the video just to save a little time. So I'm going to start some Vivis 6.0. Oh, that super glue is not dry yet. Got to be careful with that, so my material doesn't stick to it. I pre-prepped a couple of pieces of material here. So what I've pre-prepped is a couple of feathers. I got a few whites here, 3, and I've got 1 grizzly. I'm going to start with the grizzly. I'm going to go ahead and put this grizzly on knife edge on the back of the hook. And this will establish my length. So what do I want for length? We can say about 1.5 hook shanks. So I'm going to do a couple of loose wraps, just making sure that I like the placement. And I'm getting super glue on my fingers. That's not good. I like that. And we can lock that in nice and tight. I think I'm going to go ahead and cut off that tag so it doesn't accidentally get glued on. Alright. I go ahead and give it 1 wrap under just to make sure that that feather stays in a good orientation. So now I've got a couple of whites. I'm going to go ahead and try to have just a hair shorter than the grizzly. I want the grizzly to be my longest. And I'm just going to basically put these around the grizzly. There's no like major specific way to do this. I'm just going to get them so that they splay, you know, side to side, up and down. All that's going to do is give me some great action. That one wasn't as pretty. This one is way prettier. You notice I'm kind of just plowing through this fly. I think that these big saltwater streamers, really, it's hard to mess them up, to be honest with you. You know, you get a couple of good feathers on there and some flash and maybe some bucktail, or, you know, I'm going to use a couple of cool materials on this fly. I mean, you can add ostrich hurl. There's so much you can do to just give it a lot of action. There's a ton of synthetic materials that are just awesome. But this feather doesn't look so nice. I may just skip that one. So now I'm going to go ahead and trim up a couple of these fibers that got caught going the wrong way. Just like that. Beautiful. Now I'm going to give this a little bit of flash. I have a piece of 1 strand of crystal flash, which I'm going to fold in half, put it on the thread, kind of even, as even as I can, and then I'm going to go ahead and put it right on the top of the hook, nice and hard. And now I'm just going to make sure that it goes on either side, just like that. Beautiful. I can open that loop. And it wouldn't be a streamer if I didn't give it a little bit of Flashabou Mirage Opal, which is, I think, safe to say, my favorite flash. So I'm going to go ahead and put 2 strands loosely wrapped on my side. That turned into a mess. Usually goes a lot easier than that. This, for some reason, this particular strand is having static cling. Wants to cling to me. Well, that was a little bit more of an adventure than it normally is. I'll go ahead and trim those up. So that's enough flash. So now I'm going to put a little bit of Cactus Chenielle. And the only thing I'm doing with this Cactus Chenielle is I'm building a little bit of mass in the body. And I like to use this chenille because it may show through in the water. And this has some really cool built-in little sparkle to it. I think this particular chenille looks great. So I just open up the thread on the end, and by giving the bobbin that little turn that I just did, it makes the thread wrap the way I want it to wrap. So I'm going to come about, I would say, 1/4 of an inch from the eye of the hook. And this doesn't have to even look good. This is literally going to get covered. I just trying to give this a little bit of mass. I don't want it to be so thin, the fly. Now I'm just going to capture that. I can trim that little tag. And I'm actually going to bring my thread back to my original tie-in point. And now I am going to use a little polar chenille. This is going to be seen. So this is polar chenille. Palmer chenille in pearl, size large. And we're just gonna tie this in. I give myself a little tie-in point, same as I did with the Cactus Chenielle. So I'm just gonna tie this in. Now I'm gonna wrap my thread back forward. And now I'm gonna go in the exact same direction. And I'm going to use the rotary function this time, because it's going to help me when I palmer everything back. Don't like the way that's starting. Better. That's a good tip right there. If you don't like the way something looks, just back off. There's There's no reason to go forward with something if you're not liking the way it's looking. And that's plenty right there, because I am going to put a little bucktail on this. So now I'm going to go ahead and capture that. Just like that. And we can trim this off. Just like that. Perfect. Beautiful. So the last material that I'm going to use is a little bit of bucktail. And this fly is going to be awesome. It's going to be sparse. It's going to have a lot of good action. I'm going to use bucktail from the top of the bucktail, because if you use from the bottom, it wants to like splay really badly. So I'm going to use from the top so it doesn't splay quite as much. Again, like all my bucktail, I take away all my shorts. And once I'm happy with this, I'm going to go ahead and check my length. I don't want it to be overly long. Trim that up. Definitely don't want it to be longer than the Palmer chenille. I'm just looking for my taper. Couple of loose wraps. Distribute with my fingers. Now I'm going to, once I have it where I want it, lock that. And I'm going to do it again on the bottom so I get good coverage all the way around this fly. I already have my length established, so I'm going to use the same length. Couple of loose wraps. Distribute around the shank. And once I like it, I crank that tight. Now at this point, I'm going to go ahead and put a whip finish in, and I'm going to change thread. Really happy with the way that's coming out. You could take a second and trim up any stragglers. Most of the time I singe this off. But it doesn't hurt to get the bulk of it. Beautiful. That fly right there, you could fish that fly right there and catch a ton of fish. But I'm going to go ahead and put a red thread on, and then I'm going to probably do a UV resin head. And this fly is actually going to be a very special gift to a good friend. He great kid actually. He's one of my closest friends' sons, and he recently graduated college, and got a great first job, and he's just killing it. The kid is just doing so good, and he's getting into fly fishing. So I decided to make him something a little bit special. Perfect. That is perfect. Whip finish. And now it's just to clean up the head and UV resin. I'm going to give it one more whip finish just for good luck, I guess. Really don't need it, especially since I'm going to put resin on. Alright. So the fly tying portion of this video is complete. And I gotta say that I'm thrilled with the way this fly has turned out. That right there looks awesome. There is nothing wrong with this fly. This fly will fish all day. Just for the purpose of keeping the video short, I will put a link to one of my other videos where I make a UV resin head, and I will come back and finish this video with I'll show you what the finished product looks like. Be right. Hi, welcome back. So there it is, as promised, with a finished head, the Slick Billy Whitebait. For lack of a better name, I don't really have a name for this fly. It's a combination of a lot of different flies. I think that the Crystal Flash, which I hope you can see, is going to show up really great. That Palmer Chenille is going to look great. The Bucktail is going to have a lot of good action. And the Bucktail, what's nice about the Bucktail, will keep this fly from fouling. So I hope you enjoyed the video. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and see you on the next video. Good luck catching.